Good evening, everybody. We're going to go to get started, so if you can take your seats. My name is Ahmad Narvais, and I'm the council member for District 6. We are in District 6 now at this time, which encompasses all of West Dallas, the Design District, and Northwest Dallas, which includes Bachman Lake, Midway Hollow, and Cypress Waters. We're having some more technical difficulties, guys. So I want to thank everybody for being here and taking time from your busy schedules and coming to give us some feedback. As you all are aware, we had a teen curfew in the city of Dallas, and it expired on January the 18th. And there were some statistics that came out. Some of you all heard them, some of you all have them now. I'm not going to get into all of those at this time because we really want to hear from you all. But I do want to tell you all what we're going to do is we're going to hear from Council Member Tanel Atkins, who is from District 8, who has come to visit us here as well today. And I want to thank my colleague for being here with me. He's going to give you a little bit of the history of how the teen curfew came to be, why we have a teen curfew. And then we're going to bring Chief Martinez up, and he's going to give us our kind of some information, some statistics from Dallas Police Department. I do want to mention that on our flyer, we originally had Chief Renee Hall was supposed to be here with us. Unfortunately, she had a commitment that she could not get out of to be with us. She just sent her apologies. I did speak with her, and she did apologize. There was a mix-up in the schedule, not her fault at all. So I just want to let you all know that. We are going to schedule another time, she has agreed, where we can do a different type of town hall with her that's just on public safety, so not just dealing with the teen curfew. But I did want to let you all know about that, as why we will have her out for a different type of town hall that isn't just focused on the teen curfew. So without further ado, I want to let Councilmember Tanel Atkins give us the brief history, and then we will turn it over to Deputy Chief Martinez, and then from there we will open it up for questions and answers. So we can keep all of our questions and our answers, well, you may have answers as well, but we can keep all of our questions until both folks have given their information, and then we will turn it over to you all and try to let everybody either have their say or give us their information that they want to give us or ask their questions. Does that sound great, everybody? All right, thank you so much. Without further ado, Mr. Tanel.
First, let's get on with God. It's a blessing to be here this afternoon. And thank Omar, for your community to invite me out to your community. The city of Dallas is one community. We're not two communities. We're one community working together. We got to be one because we're one city in Dallas. Little history about a teen curfew. It's all about safety. We're not trying to dig in the weeds. We want safety. Can I say to be safe? Miss Pemberton over there sitting on the corner in 1991. Miss Pemberton, Diane Rasdale, and Pastor Bailey at Concord Baptist Church. They said we have a problem in the city of Dallas, especially out in the communities. We have 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds. It's out in the street and quiet. They are in the street. And what we're trying to do is to make sure they're safe. And that's why the church got there, to make sure that church is safe. Right now, it's 20 years down the road. We might need to do some tweak and safe. I have a 13-year-old grandson, and I also have a 13-year-old niece, and they're female. And I do believe in the police officer. We might need more training, but safety is number one. Safety is safety. If we got to change stuff, but the children need to be safe. If they out there at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, someone should be able to approach them and say, why are you out there at 2 o'clock in the morning? Then take them home to make sure the parents know. There are also things that we can do, and I think, Omar, we can figure it out, whatever we're going to do, but it's your community. I want to hear from you. You, the community. One thing I do not want, if a kid gets a citation, I do not want to have that mark to be a record on their record the rest of life. That's something I want to fight for. We definitely don't need that. But they do something at 13 years old, they should not have that record when they get 16, 17, 18 years old. And that's something I want to fight for, make sure we get there. With that, thank you, Omar, and on that, Chief Martinez, do what you need to do. Thank you.
South Patrol, which has West Dallas. I'm going to talk initially about the PowerPoint that you should have. I'm just going over it really brief. And then we'll move on to the statistics and then the curfew violations, so you kind of have an idea of what our curfew violation currently says, the ordinance, and then we'll quickly open it up for questions. So the main part on this on the PowerPoint is that we're having this public meeting because it's required by law. In order for us, the curfew ordinance has to continue has to be reviewed every 3 years. So now we're at that point, and it has expired, so we're required to have 2 public meetings, and that's why we're here. In the next slide, page 3, you will see basically what we're saying here is, now that it's expired, we can enforce it. Now, there is something you should know, as I touch on it here in a minute, that our daytime curfew, we don't enforce anymore because the law, the state, has removed the daytime enforcement. So we don't do truancy during daytime anymore. Now we only have the nighttime curfew. So here you note on page 4, it simply says that the City Council elects to abolish the curfew ordinance. The police department will engage the community and collaborate with other city departments to create a substantial plan that creates a continuum of community-based alternatives for juveniles. You should also know that we still do that even now through the curfew program, through the city courts. I'm going to skip page 5, and then we'll go to page 6. Now, what's proposed here out of the chief's office on behalf of the department is that we give some kind of warning in the first offense, and then enforcement through V citations. V citations are different for us. They would direct the juvenile and whoever the parent and or guardian is to community court. The idea there is that community court would actually give them other alternatives. But to be fair, that's already happened in the city court as well. Under Judge Williams, the city courts moves that into Judge Williams' court. So those programs are in place. And so when you ask, well, what kind of programs are we talking about, you'll see down there, we're looking for counseling for the juveniles, their parents, their guardians. We're also looking at mentoring and any other programs that we can do on behalf of the citizens. And Judge Williams is here, so if you have any questions, I'm sure she'll be able to bring that up. But so all this is to bring in resources for our juveniles that we deal with. The other part of the proposed court is create a special curfew docket with evening hours, and this was suggested by one community group in Councilman Atkins' meeting, that maybe we should have court in the evening time so that those parents who are having difficulty or guardians, they don't have to miss work for something that's important, and you're not making them choose between working and trying to take care of this court issue. So we would be looking and exploring, trying to have some of these evening courts hearings for our juveniles and their families. And of course, at the bottom, juveniles can complete supervised community services on Saturdays, and that is also being done now. And so the councilman already talked about in February, this year, this month, the hearing will be done and then the proposal. Okay, now I'm going to skip the rest of that PowerPoint. Very basic information. So, statistically, in the city of Dallas for 2018, we issued 229 nighttime curfew violations. That's 229. So, 45 citations we issued to African American Jews. All these are youth, right? Anybody under 17. In the state of Texas, if you're 17, you're considered an adult. So 16 and under. So 45 were African American, 1 was Asian, 147 were Hispanic, 34 were white, and we had 1 unknown. And you may wonder why 1 unknown, because by law, we are not, in our policy, we if you have a person of mixed race, pick one or the other. And sometimes an officer will put unknown. So everybody get that? Okay.
Is it possible to give that as percentages of how many of the fall into each category?
I don't have it, but I can get that to you. Yes, ma'am.
How many citations, sir?
220.
Let's wait for questions until the chief is done, please.
Right. I'll repeat that here in a minute. 229. So, but by the same token, curfew hours, the law. Here's basically what the law says. On Saturday at midnight and Sunday at midnight, meaning Friday night, Saturday night, and at midnight to 6 in the morning is when the curfew takes effect. On Saturday, midnight, and Sunday, midnight. For the rest of the days, it's at 11 p.m. Basically Sunday night through Thursday night. So that's when the nighttime curfew is in effect. And what the law basically says, what the city ordinance currently says, is that if you're under 17 and you're out at those hours, you are committing a violation of curfew, okay? So we make contact with you, however that is. That could be a traffic stop, you're at a location, you look young, and we're asking, hey, what are you doing out here? What's going on? Sometimes it's on a call, sometimes it's just making a contact. But there are defenses, okay? These are important. If you're a juvenile, you're accompanied by your guardian or your parent, obviously that's a defense. Like if you're at a quinceañera, the councilman and I were talking about, if you're at a quinceañera and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, or let's say 2 o'clock when it's shutting down, you would be in violation, but you're not, because it's a defense, okay? If you're, in some cases, you're a juvenile, but your mom or your dad sends you out, let's say it's midnight, and it's midnight at 15, you're trying to run to the 7-Eleven because mom or dad needs something, and you're 16 and you have a permit, and for whatever reason they let you do it, then if you can prove that you're doing an errand, there's a need, then we wouldn't write you the citation. In fact, what we would probably do, in all honesty, out in the street, hey, what's going on? Why is Joe out here? What's going on? So we do a lot more investigating than just writing the citation. Another defense is if you're on interstate travel. If you're going from California to Florida, and you just happen to be driving to the city of Dallas at that hour, obviously with family or relatives, we would not use that against you. Another one that is often used is, what if you're working? What if you're working at a Pizza Hut or Wingstop or whatever the case may be, but you close late on that weekend and now you're going home? That's a defense. If you have your name tag, you have your uniform, we make a call, maybe you have a paycheck stub. Those are things that we do in the field to try to help establish the defense. If it's an emergency, that's a no-brainer. We even go as far as saying that if you're on the sidewalk of your residence and you're not causing a disturbance, you're pretty much considered within the bounds of your residence. It's not written here, but we don't really do that in the apartment complexes either. If you're not there causing a major disturbance, because we consider that to still be part of your residence. And then of course, if you're attending an event, maybe school sponsored or church sponsored, and you're spending the night there overnight, that's another exception. Okay, I don't want to take too much time, but those are what they call prosecution, defense to prosecution. In other words, those are the excuses or what's allowed by law, and we pursue those things or those defenses to make sure that you are within that. If that's the case, then we will not issue a citation. Okay, with that, Councilman, open it up for questions.
Judge Williams, I know we didn't have you on the agenda, but I don't know if you wanted to come up and say a couple of words about what's going on in the court with these youth before we get started. I'm sorry, I didn't know the judge was coming in. I want to make sure I give the respect to the Honorable Judge Williams in the event that now she's coming in, so I'm going to go with what she wants to say something. So, thank you, Judge Williams.
Thank you, Councilman Navarro. Said Councilman Atkins. What we try to do with the juveniles that we see in court is we try to address the underlying problems of why this child was out at night without a good reason. because the officer kind of gave you the different defenses or the different exceptions to the curfew ordinance. When they put the curfew ordinance together, they made sure that they included enough reasons that a child should be out that would keep them from having the offense counted against them, such as coming from a school-sponsored event. We all know if you're in band or you're in athletics, you're going to come in late, or if you're working, those types of things, or if your parents, for instance, your parent is out and they have a flat tire and they call you to come and get them or to bring whatever. Those are exceptions to the curfew ordinance, and the officers do a good job of talking to the individuals as they stop them. But the way the curfew ordinance is set up, it's really a protection mechanism, and I see it because a lot of times when I encounter young people in court, their parents didn't know they were out. And the officer gave them that call because when they stop them, they're to contact the parent. When they get the phone call, they think their child, the parent is either asleep, and they think their child is at home, or if they're visiting someone else, they think they're with that person they're visiting. And they don't realize that their children are out. So it's a wake-up call for the parents. And what we try to do in court is give you some options to address what's going on at home. I have a case manager, they do an assessment. If there are things that come out during that assessment from the parents, such as my child is being very disobedient at home, we have some issues and we try to figure out if we need to do counseling. Or if my child is using drugs, then we need to maybe try to stop that behavior, because you're young and your mind's developing. The last thing we need for you to do at that age is to become addicted to something, because that's the age where you're going to become addicted. So we try to make sure that we're putting you in classes and different things like that. As far as payment of fees, community service is always available because we don't want to further encumber the parents and put a hardship on the parents who are trying their best to raise their children. So those are some of the things that we do. Of course, now with all of those wonderful things that we try to do as far as maybe getting you connected with a mentor, your child connected with a mentor, and the different services that we try to route the youth out to, we still have individuals who just fail to comply, or they don't ever come to court. And so, of course, at that point then, the minimum fine on a curfew ticket is $1, the maximum is $500. And so at that point, the fines may go in. Or when you become an adult, you may come back and say, I want to handle this case, but I don't want to mess with your deferred, I don't want to do any of that, I just want to pay it. And at that point, you may have fines and some court costs. But with juveniles, the fine is set, or the deferred fees. We try to do it deferred so there is no conviction, the case is dismissed. The court cost on a curfew ticket at the city right now is $71. If you're a juvenile, there are no extra fees that kick in, such as collection or warrant fees, because we don't issue warrants for juveniles. But once you become an adult, if you start to do a payment plan and you fall off from not paying it, then the collection fees and all the different encumbrances start, just as you and I would experience when we don't handle our business on time. But what we really want to do is work with the parents. And so the idea of doing this in the evenings is not a problem, because right now we only have court during the day. And of course, parents are missing a day at work, and children are missing a day or a morning or an afternoon at school. And so what we do is give you an excuse for your child, because under state law, if they're in court, it is an excused absence. Okay, so I gave you a lot of information. I hope some of that made sense. Any questions? Is that okay if I ask questions? Yes, ma'am.
Judge Williams, thank you for being here. Thank you for your work. I have a question for you regarding the children that you see in court. Are each of those children that are receiving a violation, other than the curfew violation, are they involved in criminal activity? You
The
don't
ones that I see are mostly curfew violations. Sometimes they get a traffic offense.
So outside the curfew violation, we just criminalized a child for being outside during the curfew time. Otherwise, they would not have a record other than that violation.
That's not a criminal curfews aren't criminal offenses.
If the child forgets to tell the parents, because if I sneak out of my house, I'm not going to run home and tell my mommy that I snuck out and I'm pulled over, we got a citation, and we got to go to court. So then that becomes a violation that they don't go to court. So now, how do you take care of that?
Okay, so when they get the citation, we don't expect them to tell the parents. So we don't give them a court date or anything. It's just a notice to a child. Some tell their parents, some don't. We then notify the parents in the mail. And if they fail to come, then my administrative judge issues a summons to the parent, and the marshal will go out and personally serve the parent to show
Now
up.
you're criminalizing the parent.
No, it's not a criminal offense. Under state law, if a child gets into trouble, the parent is supposed to know so that we can then address the issues. But there's never, a curfew is an ordinance violation. It's not a criminal offense, so they are never criminalized. The court that they come to is a municipal court, but you never get a criminal conviction for a curfew violation. You can only get a criminal conviction for a criminal offense, such as theft, disorderly conduct, assault, but a curfew offense is never a criminal offense.
So is this encouraging our youth to have a good rapport and relationship with police officers after hours?
I would hope so, because a lot of the calls
They're gonna
I
have
think
the
are
other way.
life-saving. Because a lot of the offices that I see in this area are at the bridge. The bridge is a big draw for our young people. And so they're there at 1:30, but it's a bunch of kids. And guess who else is out there at 1:30? Predators. So they know that young people are out there. So, I mean, I'm not, trust me, I'm neutral about the whole thing.
There
If
was
you have a curfew or if you don't. But what I can tell you is a lot of the parents that I've seen, there's some more issues. And some of the individuals that I see, when the police catch them with something bigger than a curfew, they don't write them for the curfew, they take them to juvenile. And I appreciate that, because I would hate to have a young person who's in juvenile on a criminal offense with a city citation pending. There are some individuals that I see who have curfew tickets or other things that occur in municipal court, and if they don't show up, eventually their parents will come and say, my child's a juvenile. So I look at us as a first gateway court where we can maybe stop some of the behaviors that can come down further.
So Officer Mata, who was in charge of this group, I guess, I don't see him here today, he was at City Hall, and he said, without this ordinance, they cannot speak to young people and do their jobs. So I would dare to defer with that, because if I'm a police officer, just the fact that I'm wearing a uniform, I'm able to stop anybody and ask them. So maybe Officer Martinez. So Chief Martinez, and let me direct that to you. Mr. Officer Mata said at City Hall that if this ordinance is not set in place, he cannot do his job. So you mean to tell me that Officer Mata is not going to stay home and not do his job based on the fact that there's not an ordinance, a piece of paper that says that they can talk to young people? You can talk to young people at any time without a piece of paper.
Yes, ma'am. So you're asking a very heavy question there. So let me.
Yeah, we want that heavy answer.
So let me break it down. So the way it is right now, if we think you're a juvenile, or if you're a youth under 17.
Can you come in there for a minute also? Do you know my age? Are you looking at me?
You sure you
Yes. Don't insult me, but just guess.
About 22. I've been down that road before. But if you're being serious, I would say 58.
Thank you. I'll find you a book after this. So every officer's eyes are trained to identify youth under a certain age. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because last summer, for 4.5 hours, I was texting with teens that were stopped at the bridge because they looked young. And actually, Angela and Nick and all of them were passing out business cards telling the youth and other individuals of their right, how to act, and their rights, to know their rights when confronted by police officers. And they were detained 4.5 hours, and none of them were underage. None of them were underage. They appeared to be and looked underage. Even after they get their ID, they were held 4.5 hours. And there's a video that's live and went viral in Dallas at the bridge that Judge Williams is talking about, because cops aimed there specifically to look for those children. So now you're in a specific area to find those kids. Oh, wow. And you know what? It takes longer than 24 minutes to get to a real crime, where before it used to take under 3 to 8 minutes to get to a crime. So now you're telling me we have enough officers, although we're less than 600 officers required by the National Police Association to have for our population. We're under 600. So we got time to stop these young people who are not doing anything but hanging at the bridge, doing no crime. And we have time for that instead of looking at the lady who got killed, what she was calling police. Hurry, hurry, he's in here. Hurry, hurry, he's in here. Bam, she's dead 4 hours later. Okay? So this is why I oppose this. This is a good thing 25 years ago. And even then, the Mayor Pro Tem, Domingo Garcia, argued that this was not a good thing. Now, we're going against state policy because House Bill 2983 says, and they gave it to Austin and Houston, and they stopped their curfew because it's a violation of the civil rights violation of all these youngsters. We're violating their right to say that they cannot be out in public. Why not? If these kids, and Judge Williams just said, they're not caught doing something wrong, they're just caught out at night. There's something really wrong if we're trying to do that to our youth. 71% of them are Hispanic, 24% are African American. You mean to tell me the Anglos don't go out? Less than 10%? The difference? Our kids are walking and enjoying their community, where the white kids are in their nice little BMWs driving the streets. So this disproportionate is not equal, it's not even, and I'm almost ashamed to say that African American, and not all of them, are for this law when their kids and our kids are being penalized for this. It's not fair, it's not right. Y'all don't even have statistics, let me say, and let me answer to Omar. Mr. Narvaez said that Chief Hall couldn't be here. She doesn't like, she wants to do a different type of meeting. This is the type of meeting she should be at. She should be held responsible. And she said she didn't have the information. What are we paying a chief to do? Sit around and do what? Get her fingernails done and post for Teen Magazine and her guns? Instead of doing and getting facts about what's going on in our city? No, we need her to be out here. We need her here tonight. She should have said
I'm going to ask a question, or
okay, go
let
ahead.
him address the question, because
I think
if not, I'm going to go to somebody else, because we only have an hour.
See, I think the question was, when she asked, to make it clear, that if a 13-year-old, or 15-year-old is out there, why should we have a curfew? And why should a police board talk to that person? If we got a curfew, we do it, what we do is we don't have a curfew. I think that's what first she asked.
So we'll go with your anti-curfew position. So we can come and we can see you out there, can talk to you. We can, what we call a consensual contact. How you doing, man? Everything going well tonight? Skyline is beautiful. By the way, how old are you? You can tell me go pound sand, I'm done. Whether you have, now you're smoking marijuana, you got something else, some other crime, criminal act, then it's not consensual. I'm doing a contact, right? So I'm doing investigative contact. From there, your age doesn't matter, okay? I'll give you an example from 2 months ago that one of my officers told me. Saw a young girl with some other people, made contact. She's 14 years old. She's, what are you doing out here at night? Blah, blah, blah. The officer's professional contact and identifying her and talking to her, she basically said, look, she had meth on her, okay, a 14-year-old. Whether she's dealing it or using it. She's been addicted for 5 months. We have to make that arrest, right? But what we're trying to do is get her some help. If we go by what you're saying, she could easily say, hey, I don't want to talk to you, okay, and we back off. That's how we have to do it, or we look at their behavior. And then you talk about criminalization. That will be criminalized act if you're out there drinking, smoking marijuana. Because yes, we're going to be out there. The other statement you made about us just hanging out at the bridge, I have 2 officers there for La Bajada and the bridge. I have officers there because we have robberies, We have shootings, we've had,
Yes, statistics
we
on
have
that.
violations, I sure do. So that's why we're there. And we're there also because of the complaints we've gotten from the community in Trinity Grove. So we're not there just hanging out, they're there from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So yes, sir.
Okay, she just said that there were, these kids were there for violation of curfew. You're just saying the opposite, so I don't, someone is saying a lie. Number two, that bridge had always had problems, but it wasn't until they changed it at Trinity Grove that police officers went there. So let's just be realistic about that. It's not about taking care of our kids, it's about taking care of the other people that are out there. Number three, my son went to school in North Dallas. He was never stopped. You know why he was never stopped? Because he went to school in North Dallas. He would be stopped here. That's discrimination. That needs to stop.
Yes.
And my son is Hispanic, and I would tell him, don't be hanging out here, because I know I get a crime watch. I believe people need to be stopped, but not our children, not discrimination the way I see it. You know, that's has to stop. Because right now you talk about this judge, about the kids not having crimes. Now you can't right after her talking about the crimes. We want to know about the tickets the kids, the citation they got, and they got for just being out because they don't have vehicles. My son had a vehicle. So what I see is you're discriminating the poor people. And this is not right. It's just obvious. We're not stupid. You know, we need to have, like we were just talking, have activities for our kids. We can be part of that. Let's have midnight activities for them. These kids don't have anywhere to go in the poor communities. Up in the bridge in the north, they have a lot of activities all the time. Because my son was part of that. He was blessed to be part of it. But here we don't have that. So what we need to do is all this money that we're wasting on our kids and use it to go back to our children. Yeah, that's what we need. And we, the leaders, can be part of those events. Because I believe in having events. If we want to mentor and change lives, we have to be here and they have to see us, that we care for them, that we love them, and that we're going to be there. And you talk about it's just helping them on the system. No, when someone knocks on your door, the parents, that's not helping them. They get scared. A lot of them are scared. I've gone to court with people that were scared after their kids they were going to get fines. In my community, I work at a nonprofit where I've actually gone with people because they're scared. I can go and speak because I'm not scared to speak. I don't care where I'm at. But you're talking about a group of people parents that are scared to do what we can do here in this community. Right now, everybody's here. We have a voice. Our parents, a lot of parents don't have a voice because they've been victimized all their life. Thank you.
Can I say one thing? You made a good point, and Omar said another good point. We are trying to get advice from you, you know, like the midnight basketball activity.
Yes. Amen.
That's what we want to hear. We want to say, what can we do? How can we help you? That's a budget. And me and Omar, we'll go back and say, hey, here's the budget. We need midnight basketball, or a place for the kids to go, or whatever. Give us an idea. We're going to fight the character. This is an idea. How can we help you? Also with citation. If we get a citation, could it be the probation so the citation go away after a period of time, just get it expunged, whatever. Those are the things we want to do. We want no kid to be out there with a record for life. We want to make sure they are safe, number one, and how do we make it safe, but also make sure the parents know their kids are safe. And we do not want parents scared of our police. We don't want a police scared of the child. We got to work together. And that's what we're trying to have, work together. And we don't want to point at this family like Tino and Age of Kareem. We want to make, how can we work together? How can we save our youth? And that's what we're trying to do, save our youth and save their, we don't want to put the punishment on you. We, the council, we got to come with budget, we got to come with an idea. Yes, it started in 1991. Yes, it's 2019. Things change. We need to make sure our schools involved. We got to make everything right. It should not be north down, south down, west down, east down. It should be one city. It should not be a tale or two cities. And that's what we're trying to do. Give us an idea. Give us some information we can take back to our colleague. We said we came back here. We came back with some ideas that we can work together. Budget, whatever. Give me Omar some idea that we take back to our council.
I got Ms. Raella, I got you next, and then Mr. Betson, I got you after Ms. Raella.
Good afternoon, everybody. I just like to say that each neighborhood
go off of what Mr. Atkins said. I'm in firm agreement, and we were just discussing it. It is our duty to find things for parents to be able to do, not just parents, but caregivers. It could be a grandparent, it could be a tia, an auntie, taking care of it. It could be a big brother or a big sister taking care of youth nowadays. We know this is a different world than we were in many years ago, and we were just discussing midnight basketball, what could we do, but to put it in areas to start as a pilot where we see these tickets being issued at higher numbers than in other areas, because that's building equity. If we're not giving tickets in District 10, which had 0 tickets, which is Lake Highlands, why is that? Is it because they really have activities, or is it because we just don't issue curfew citations in those areas? I participated in a teen curfew town hall that was run by teens and by teens. And they did the conversation. It was amazing to hear what those teenagers had to say. And these are what people would consider the good teens. And I'm doing that in quotes. And I think all of our teens are good teens. But a lot of the questions that they had and that raised to them was, what was amazing was 2 of the teens were part of the Dallas Youth Commission. And one of them, he's from District 12. And he's a more affluent Anglo kid. And he said it was interesting to him that in District 12, his district, which is the North Dallas district, that there were only 6 tickets, and he said, I can promise you that any given weekend that there are more kids in my district out and about at night and they're not getting citations. Right. And so that's the questions that we have to ask about this. And one of the things that I'm going to be asking for if a curfew comes back, and even if it doesn't, is I really want data from DPD. If you're not issuing a citation, what are you doing with these kids? I need to know, did you just talk to them? Did you call mom and dad to pick them up? Did you take them to a homeless shelter? Did you take them somewhere else? Because it's not just kids that are home. There are a lot of kids out on the streets that could be out on the street because they're escaping an abusive situation. Somebody's beating the heck out of them, and the only way they could escape was to get out of it. It could be that they're being sexually abused. It could be that they're LGBTQ and they were thrown out of their home. So these are the kinds of things that, it's not a one size fits all. And that's why we want to hear from you guys, is to figure out, I think a lot of you know where I stand already, but I'm willing to work with the other council members so we can get a better policy. And that's why I want to hear from you all. I also want to, before we take more questions, is remind you all, we're going to have another town hall in District 6 at the Bachman Recreation Center tomorrow evening. And that one starts at 6:30 p.m. and will go to 7:30. So if you need to give us more information, because after tonight you think of more, you can come to that one and talk to us. Or if you didn't come, or you have friends, neighbors that wanted to come and they just couldn't, they can go to that one as well. And then obviously on the 6th, which is Wednesday morning at 9 a.m., you can come down to City Hall, and we're going to have a briefing on this, and we will be hearing from you all as well during the public hearing about that. And that's in front of all the council members and the mayor. Mr. Benson?
Very good segue. Thank you. You are paying attention to what's going on, and I like that.
Thank you, Omar.
I'm an old child welfare worker here in town. I did that for 17 years. The first 13 of them, I was at the Child Abuse Hotline, and I supervised it for a decade, nights and weekends. In other words, I worked nights and weekends, and then I supervised nights and weekends for 13 years. And then I did a master's thesis proving that the worst stuff happens nights and weekends. And it was like proving the sun comes up in the day and it goes down at night. Because at night is when the worst stuff happens. We would have our most child fatality referrals come in, our most dangerous injuries come in, and the police would be involved much more often. As a matter of fact, I don't think there are any police officers here old enough to remember the Children's Emergency Shelter. Do any of y'all remember it? It was actually closed 32 years ago. You remember it? You remember it? That was closed. That's where I worked, and when they closed it, I left. But anyhow, the one thing we can't do is nothing. With this curfew plays a role that I think could be very positive. It is actually, of the 92 largest cities in this country, that's cities over 180,000, it's in 78 of them. and that's an old statistic. But basically, it's very common in this country, very common. And we need to pay attention to that, and we need to continue to have input from the community as to how we can form this so it becomes a doorway for officers to use to help the kids that they know are hurting. I mean, you know, and that's what we need to do to help reconnect the kids with their schools, to reconnect them with parents and community, and hopefully solve the problems that are very common. So thank you.
And I will give, thank you, Mr. Benson, for that. And I will give you some information. As a council member, I have the privilege of getting to meet other council members and state reps and people from all over the country. And I was just in Austin this past Wednesday and spoke with Councilmember Cazares from the city of Austin. And many of you all may or may not know that two cities just recently in Texas, a year ago, the city of Austin actually repealed their teen curfew, and the city of Waco actually repealed their teen curfew as well. And both cities, I'm getting data from them, but according to Councilmember Cazares from Austin, is that teen crime did not spike in the city of Austin. It didn't increase, it didn't go up, and that the victimization of teens did not go up, it didn't change because the curfew went away. I'm also going to give you that I don't know the statistics, Chief, but our curfew ended on January the 18th. It expired. And from what I've been told is the city hasn't fallen apart because we don't have a teen curfew. And the city of Dallas, that we're not seeing anything different. And there's no data there, but just from what I understand that I've been talking, I know, I'm not trying to put Chief on the spot, but what we really want to hear from you guys is, what do y'all think are some solutions? Because I get it, I think the vast majority of the room in here is opposed to the curfew, but what would you all recommend to us to be able to take back?
Talk to the youth.
Yes, ma'am.
Ask
Do you know what
them.
time the YMCA closes in West Dallas? 8.
8 p.m.
I come from grade 5, it's open till 10. What if all the rec centers were open till 10? Is that impossible?
That's not impossible. I think most of our rec centers are open fairly late. I don't think it's 10 o'clock, but that's something we can look into, definitely.
What we are talking about is equity. And the equity that we're talking about is what money is a value of you. What money do you want to spend in budget, like rec center? Remember 2008, we closed our rec center down, hours in libraries, and we just now open back up. So if you really want this teen curfew to work, you want a rec center to open up at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock, and close at 10 o'clock at night, then that's a budget item. So that's when you got to come down and say, these are the ideas, these are the things that you should do, and this is a budget. So therefore, it's up to the community to tell us what we do. It's going to be a cost. We know it's going to be a cost. But you, the community, got to tell us that. I believe in the teen curfew. I think it needs to be tweaked. The reason why I say that, in my community, in my neighborhood, I see the difference. I have 5 mega churches in my community. Ibar, Friendship West, Antioch, Oak Cliff Bible, Concord, over 150. And back 10 years ago, we had a VIP program. We hired VIP, drove their own car to police that whole entire area. Before then, we had 2 police officers, 2, to police that whole entire area. Now, in all the youth there, we had Pastor Russ at the last meeting. He shows a video of a 10-year-old kid that break into his church at Ibar. He didn't do it once, he did it twice. What was the premise? Those are things that we're saying. It is not dollars, but we want to help. But again, give our police officer a reason to say, you know what, 13-year-old kid, why you act there? How can we help you? Bring it back to the parents. Is there a resource we need to do? There need to mentor or go to the midnight basketball, whatever. We need to help our parents. Now we got teens raising teens. We got 32-year-old mother, his grandmother. 32-year-old his grandmother. And so therefore we got also in this society today, back then, if I did something wrong as a youth, my neighbor might whoop me, my other neighbor might whoop me. please don't go home because my mama's gonna ridicule me. Now you know that. So therefore, let us kind of work together on, let's come back with some ideas, but put it in writing and send it back to us so we can give the rest of the council.
So I'm gonna recommend that you not book your neighbor's kids. That could be considered an offense. I don't need parents of parents going to jail, because that is a criminal offense. But it does take a village, is what I think.
But only I say it's a shame that we cannot chastise a kid that's doing something wrong. That's a shame. In America, that's a shame. That if I see a kid in my neighborhood, I can't say, son, don't do that. And I'm gonna stand there and we know he's doing drugs or he's doing something illegal, we can't say nothing about it. That's what we do. The reality is we're scared and we do something, the parents can say to them, oh, it's wrong. But we need to figure out how do we can, not chastise the kid, but have a communication with the child. So, okay, I don't mean no harm. How can I help you or whatever? There's a problem.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Right, absolutely. I got Joe, and then I got Stephanie, and then I got Henry. So Joe?
Omar and Councilwoman Atkins, the idea was brought up of increasing or extending the hours of the rec center, but I think another idea would be also kind of eliminating fees that teens have to apply for, scholarship, apply for to engage in the rec center, really opening up the opportunities that they have to just feel free to approach the rec center and its programs.
I like that idea. In case you didn't hear, was just eliminating fees for teenagers to attend the rec center. So I don't know how many of you attend rec centers, but if you do, you have to get a card. You basically buy a membership. So I think Mr. Carrion's suggestion is just eliminate it for teenagers. And I mean, I think that's a good idea. It's a budget idea, a budgetary issue, but I think that, you know, again, we could maybe look at, again, the areas that are getting the most tickets, and that might be the places that we need to do this, because again, that's equity, and maybe it's a pilot where we start there. Ms. Champion, I saw you, and then Mr. Martinez, you're next, and then I got you, Ms. Hannah.
I don't have a suggestion, more of a clarification, something that I wanted to make sure we're all on the same page about. I never want to contradict the judge, but I heard the Honorable Judge mention numerous times that this wasn't a criminal offense.
It's not.
And that is not my understanding.
It's not.
Is it Class C misdemeanor?
No, it's not.
Class C
A Class C misdemeanor is a criminal offense. It's for thefts, disorderly conduct, assaults. This is a ordinance. City of Dallas has ordinances. The municipal court hears ordinances, Class C misdemeanors, and traffic offenses. This is an ordinance violation. It does not give you a criminal conviction. You cannot expunge, and you can only expunge Class C misdemeanors. You cannot expunge a curfew because under the law, it is not classified as a Class C misdemeanor.
It is though.
But it's not.
I mean, I'm sorry to contradict you, but I pointed out to you that we don't use of class.
I would love to see that, but you can't expunge it, so it's not. So, I mean, I'm telling you what I know. I've been doing this for 20 years.
I think that's something that we need clarification on, and whether officers can indeed arrest for this offense. Because my understanding is that you can, and that you actually have to plead to the underlying offense to get into the plea report. So
You have to do what?
That's not the case. Then
We didn't hear your question.
I didn't hear your first question.
I just want clarification on whether, on what this offense is.
You got another judge right there.
So let's take care of the first part first, right?
Tell me who you are, Judge.
Administrative Judge for the City of Dallas. They are not arresting them. They're not putting handcuffs on them for this ordinance violation. That's not happening.
But are they able to?
No, you cannot arrest them for this. No.
They take them into what's called, if they can't reach a parent, they can take them into a non-secure custody location, such as Lee Tot, which is owned by Dallas County, but that's where they house juveniles in a non-secure facility.
Are they mixed with the juveniles?
No, Lee Tot does not have any, Lee Tot is a non-secure facility, and it's really voluntary, so they can take a child there and till the parent gets there, and then they have to figure out what else to do with them, but they can't, Lee Tot is not mixed in with the juveniles.
What if the youth doesn't want to go?
Well, I mean, they can't leave a child on the streets, because then you leave a
Take them
child.
home.
Well, they will, most of them do take them home. It's a matter of them getting in touch with the parent. So what I was referring to is, if they cannot locate a parent, then that's one of the places that police can take a child.
So if I may add to what the judge is saying, we do handcuff them, but that's our policy. We don't let somebody just ride with us just because. Now, but we're not necessarily, as the judge mentioned, we don't take them to Henry Wade Juvenile Justice System. We take them to Lead Talk. And when we take them to Lead Talk, that's our last resort. We've tried to call mom and dad, any grandparents, any older siblings that are adults. We've done everything we can, even at times when I'll go get them, and we're still there for 3 to 4 hours, and nobody's come. Finally, because we have them detained, there are responsibilities. So, like the judge said, we can't just leave them there, so that we have to take them to Lead Talk. Unfortunately, I don't have statistics to tell you how often we do that, but that is really our last resort. But again, the handcuffing is our policy for our safety and the safety of that juvenile.
So my question, I'm sorry, I gotta jump in, ask a question on this, is because judge is saying one thing, administrative judge is saying one thing, you're saying something that sounds a little different to me. Do we put handcuffs on anybody that we arrest that is committing a criminal offense? And if so, on the curfew, by arresting a juvenile, are they read Miranda rights before they're taken into custody? Before they're taken to Lead Talk? I mean, this is getting a little, this is a good question for us to have to know what's happening to these youth. So, if you're putting handcuffs on a person, would you read them their Miranda rights? Is that, and we don't not always?
We don't read Miranda rights unless we want to know specific information that you commit this crime. We've already established that there's no need to go through that. We're not trying to interrogate you like, did you commit this murder? If we're actually digging into that, then we would.
The majority would not put in a car only other than curfew. Why would you want to handcuff? They
Because
haven't committed a crime according to Juvenile.
because that's our policy. Anybody that gets in our
So you're
car.
intimidating now this youngster, you're getting him all pissed off and upset, and now you're afraid of your life. But now he's with a police, with a gun and a taser, and he has no gun.
We're getting I get where you're going, but we're getting a little off the teen curfew subject, and I want to get us back to teen curfew. Henry, I think I had you next.
Yes, my question was, I know our community is growing. This rec center is like a little diaper to the whole community, honestly. We need something bigger. There's not enough room in this vicinity to fit our teenagers or even youth in this community. So that's something that we might want to talk about.
Yeah, and that's a great thing that I can tell you. Y'all know I've been here one term. We just passed a bond package, and it's something that I would want to put in the next bond, which is about 5 years from now, because we do a bond package every 5 years. So when the bond, we can use those funds to build things. And so in addition to the either J.C. Zaragoza Rec Center or building another rec center in West Dallas, if that's what we need, or a library over here in Ledbetter, because this side of West Dallas is growing and is growing fast. And we all know that even more folks are coming from the zoning cases we're dealing with. That is definitely something we can talk about, and that's a great idea. But it's a future idea because there's no way to get that money until the next bond package. But that's a really good suggestion. Mr. Carrion had a good suggestion. A couple of other good suggestions here. I think we have time for one more question because it is 6:59, so I got you right there. You're the winner of the last question, so make it a good one.
I'm a community organizer. We talk about the teens, which is great, but what about the parents that work at night? The single mothers that don't have resources and don't know what to do with their kids. Shouldn't we think about the mothers too that have to work a lot, maybe 2-3 jobs, and they cannot, pretty much have their kids at home all the time because they're not home themselves. So what about resources for single mothers that need help and stuff?
What kind, like a suggestion in there, what do you, because I agree with you, and I think that's kind of where the teen curfew also, part of its evolution was grandparents and single moms. I was raised by a single mom, so I know exactly what you're talking about. But I was too scared to be out at night because I was scared of the dark when I was a kid, so I was never outside. But not all kids are, right? So, like, what do you think would be some, like...
Well, it's definitely something I'm gonna look into and see what resources I can come up with, and I'm definitely gonna bring up to you guys. And because like in my district, District 3, we don't have a lot of rec centers. Maybe we have 2 in the whole district.
Oh, look,
So where are the
I
kids?
got 5.
Yeah.
So Ms. Benavides, please email me or message me.
Yeah.
When you wrap your head around it a little more, but I think where you're going is an excellent way where we can get, or if anybody, if you heard what she had to say, please message me or email me. Hilda, last.
That's Mark, thank you guys for being here. I don't mean to be argumentative.
No.
I think that the community needs us to be outspoken on their behalf. And one of the things I'd like to see more, because you're talking about planning and the new buildings and all the investment coming in, why don't we make those investors a little bit responsible? The city gives away so much money to the investors. Why don't we ask investors to invest in the community? We could use their skating rink, a theater, a bowling alley, a big community center. Let them pay back, because I know that Cypress Waters got $45,000 per unit from the city for every unit that they built. Did you guys know that? $45,000. Those people that were gentrified could have used the $45,000 as a down payment on a new house somewhere else, yet we're giving it to them to make them richer. Invest back into West Dallas.
I'm going to let Mr. Atkins speak on this because he's my chairman on Equipment and Housing, and so I'm going to defer just because he's the chair of that committee.
What you say is a good point. Those are suggestions that we ask. We're in the process right now. Omar said on our housing, economic development, economic development housing policy. That's a great idea. If we got business come here, take the part of that money, invest in our community. But we do not know what they need to invest. You made a good point. Those are the first we need. That we need, they come here, invest into childhood, educate a parenthood, whatever. Take some of that money, invest back into the community.
The city has over 50.
Okay, Hilda, thank you. Thank you, because we're getting into a different topic. We will have more town halls, I promise you, but I want to respect everybody's time. I want to first of all thank each of you for one, showing up, speaking out, asking the tough questions, and pushing back, because we are your elected leaders, and we are here to represent you. So Hilda, you don't have to apologize for being tough. I'm okay with you being tough. I want you to be tough on me, and like I've always said, hold me accountable. It is my job to fight for you at City Hall. I think Mr. Atkins would say the exact same thing if I gave him another second to speak. But I also want to thank our judges for being here. I want to thank you both, our associate judge and our judge. They have a hard job. It's not easy to be in judgment of folks, and especially when the law is not always what you might or might not want to do. And I also want to thank all of our officers that are here tonight. Thank you so much. Remember, I want them to know, and I want us to know that we are not beating up on police officers. We're beating up on a policy, and that's what we want to fix and get right with their work. We've been working and sitting down with police officers to try to figure out what's the right thing to do. We've also been sitting down with community members to figure out what's the right thing to do. And we've been sitting down with organizations that are stakeholders trying to figure out what's the right thing to do. It takes all of us together, working together. Again, thank you everybody for being here. We really appreciate it. And good night. Be safe going home.